Biggest tax increase in 30 years. In an interview with Bloomberg, it was confirmed the biggest federal tax increase in 30 years. The new administration wants to do a $3 to $4 trillion infrastructure bill with Green New Deal provisions. What does that mean? They're going to have to increase taxes. So I'm here right now in Playa del Carmen. I just got back from Tulum. We're going to be extending the trip a little longer. We're meeting with some developers and a lot of good things going on out here. More to come. Why are we talking about taxes? I thought we were talking about real estate investing, being a realtor, stocks, personal finance, entrepreneurship. This all plays into that. It's important to know what's going on with the taxes. It's going to affect your clients. It's going to affect you if you're investing. I think it's important to talk about it. Just want to give you a top line review, what's going on with the new tax laws possibly and all these spending bills in the United States with the new administration. So with that said, Janet Yellen has been doing the Sunday talk show circuit, hitting the rounds, laying the groundwork for the new plan. She's real excited about it, wants to start brainwashing people. I'm not saying it's bad, but she's laying the groundwork for the plan. She's pretty pumped about it. So what do they want to do? What do they want to do here? Let's delve into the hot points. They want to raise the corporate tax from 21 to 28%. They want to roll back the tax cuts of the previous administration. They want to raise taxes on married couples making $400,000 a year. Do I think it's going to trickle down below that? I don't buy it. Why? Because look at history. Look at history. So I'm concerned about that. This bill's got a long time from cradle to grave before it's signed. A lot of these things could change, but they're not going to raise taxes at the moment of people making over 400 grand. They're going to expand the state tax. So your father, let's say, paid all his taxes. He dies, he's got to pay him again. You got to pay your tax twice. The death tax. They want to expand the estate tax. They want to increase the capital gains tax. The bottom line is this, ladies and gentlemen, the real money is in the 141 million people. The real money is in the working class, the middle class. That's where they get the money. That's where the money is. So that's what I'm concerned about. Middle class is always going to get taxed. They're going to go after that money, and it's going to affect the entire economy in a negative way. So what do they claim this bill is going to do? They claim it's going to raise $2 trillion over 10 years. Now, most experts say it will be about half that, $1 trillion. They're not going to get the windfall they're hoping for, that they're claiming. So I'm very skeptical of that. So let's say it does raise $2 trillion compared to how much they spend. And I'm talking both administrations, the Republicans and Democrats, compared to how much they spend and the current deficit, that we have the largest deficit of any country in the world. $2 trillion is not going to mean anything over 10 years, the way we're spending right now. So here are the highlights. You're going to raise taxes, which will hurt the economy. And we're also in a crisis. We're in the middle of a pandemic. 17 million Americans are unemployed. We extended the moratorium. We extended the forbearance till September. So the real pain hasn't started yet. I'm looking at the global markets, not just markets that I work in. And I'm very worried about it. So you're going to raise taxes right now, just pushing these bills on through. And we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Things are looking up. But a lot of people got crushed over the last year. So I don't think it's a really good time to raise taxes. Worst time to raise taxes is when your economy is flat on its back. And any economist worth their salt would definitely tell you that in a private meeting, but I think publicly too. Well, some won't. But anyone who's worth their salt knows this is the worst time to raise taxes. So I'm not only concerned about the implication, well, not as much on K Street. I'm more concerned about Main Street. What's going to happen on Main Street? And I know a lot of people don't care about Main Street, but I think they both have to work together. Wall Street, K Street, Main Street, they all need to be a nice, happy threesome at a restaurant having some cocktails. So when you raise the corporate tax rate, are you going to chase companies and businesses out of here? Chasing jobs, investment in companies, they'll hire people out. That's a concern. China doesn't play by the rules. Other countries don't play by the rules. We had the highest corporate tax in the world. The previous administration lowered it to 21%. Now we want to go to 28%. China comes in and says, you know what, we'll go to zero. Bring your investment here. So that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. Now, at the same time, do these companies that lower their, they're paying 21% and their companies are in America, are they reinvesting in their people? Are they taking those profits and putting it in their pocket, or reinvesting in their people and paying them more salaries? I would argue on both sides that these companies double dip. They just stuff more money in their pockets. So you raise it to 28%. We'll talk about it. You think, what are they going to do? You look at Google. They got 8 different hops en route through Ireland. They don't pay any tax. They don't pay any tax. So this is a wealth tax without calling it a wealth tax, in my opinion. Like the wealth tax in California, you make over $30 million. So here's an example, Connecticut. Connecticut raised a wealth tax. They went after big businesses, rich and wealthy people. What happened? It devastated. It destroyed Connecticut's economy, and they never recovered. So they took their money, their jobs, and their investment, and they said adios. So I'm concerned, what happened in Connecticut will be replicated on a national level. China wants those jobs. India wants those jobs. Britain wants those jobs. Brazil wants those jobs. Come on down. We're at 28%. Brazil, China, come on down. You'll pay less than that. You'll pay less than 28%. So I see both sides of it. We need to be competitive in the marketplace. Some of these companies are going to leave now. Other companies that do stay, are they taking their profits when they were at 21% and taking advantage of that 21% and not reinvesting into their infrastructure, not reinvesting in their company, not reinvesting in their people? Absolutely they were. There needs to be some checks and balances there. I don't think we should be the highest. I don't think we should be the lowest, but we need to be competitive. And when other countries aren't playing ball, we need to be more strategic about this. So I'm very concerned about that. So do you think they'll be taxing people under 400K? I just wanted to bring that up again. I'm skeptical. This bill's got a long way to go down the road, but usually the big dollars are in the middle class. And I'm going to tell you right now, this might hurt, this might sting a bit, but if you make less than 500K, you're middle class in the United States. You're not even a player on K Street unless you make over 500 grand. And worldwide, if you're under $1 million a year, you're middle class. Under 500K in the United States. Middle class was a term, if you look at the history of it, who came up with middle class, I don't want to get into it, to make you feel good, to make you feel warm and fuzzy. You're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're warm. That's how I want to be anyway in real estate and the other things I do. I don't want to be too hot and I don't want to be too cold, so that works for me. I want to be the guy usually behind the camera. I don't want to be in front of it. I want to be warm. I don't need to be the guy in front of the camera. I want to be behind the scenes, crushing it, without anyone knowing. But 500 grand or less in the United States, you're middle class. They want to make you feel great and say you make 100 grand, you're in the 1%. We know there's serious people out there with serious money that started this country that are trillionaires and multi-billionaires, and we know who those guys are. And we know how concentrated the wealth is. But you think you're a baller making less than 500 grand, you're middle class. You are. So now they want to take more of your money because I'm telling you, the real money is in the middle class, the people that are, the 141 million people that are working. They want to get a piece of that. So that 400K, will they start taxing people on over 400K? I'm worried, but I'm an optimist. I'm hopeful there's some good people out there in politics that are worried too. So I hope they don't. Companies in Europe and Asia were sitting on all this cash and they came back to the United States under the previous administration. And some just double dipped and took advantage of that 21% tax rate and didn't help their companies or the people there that work for them. But others did. So let's take the wealth tax. Let's, 50 million or more, or California 30 million or more. France did a wealth tax. Guess what happened? Didn't work. Germany did a wealth tax. Most European countries had a wealth tax, turned into a disaster. Look at all the European countries right now. Even the Scandinavian countries abandoned the wealth tax. And in the US, Connecticut abandoned it because guess what? It didn't work. And I know current administration is now, hey, we want people to pay their fair share. We want things to be equitable, but it's never that way. It's never that way. When you up the taxes on these people that bring in these companies, Elon Musk has a company, he leaves California, goes to Texas, takes those jobs with him. You're trying to stifle entrepreneurship and capitalism, which does work, to say that Mindy just started a company that made $1.2 billion and Ann over there deserves some of it because she couldn't do it. Well, some people can't do it. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the passion. They don't have the drive. Maybe they don't have the intelligence. There's a lot of things I can't do. I don't have the intelligence for it. I'm horrible at math. I have a slight case of dyslexia, so I have to find other ways to learn, but I have a photographic memory. I see pictures like 2 days later, it's delayed. I have a learning disability and it was very hard for me, then I figured out another way to learn. But I don't use that as an excuse. You know, it was a struggle early on, but I figured out a different way to learn and what I'm good at. I wish I could do some of the things people could do from calculations with math. I wish I didn't have to have a calculator. But I'm just saying, I believe in entrepreneurship and there's some things I can't do. You got to figure out what you're good at. But we take that away from this country, the creativity, the entrepreneurship, the drive to create your own thing. But that's where it's going. Because the power-hungry people at the top, they want everyone on, like they did in Canada, a universal basic income. Because they control more of the pie. And when you have the masses controlled, and there's non-entrepreneurship and capitalism and making money and building companies and small business, they make more money at the top. So if I'm up there, way up there, I get what they're doing. I get it. I get it. But in the end, holistically, I think you're gonna hurt everybody, and including you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna be more isolated. So I'm really worried about these wealth taxes and these things to try to generate revenue for these states and cities. It's the wrong way to go about it. I believe, I see both sides. As far as getting political, I'm not a political person. I like some things on both sides of the parties. I like some things Democrats and Republicans do. I like some of these things that libertarians talk about. But I think everyone's got to come to the middle of the road and come together and fix these things because it's getting out of control. I just met a guy. I was in Tulum, got back to Playa del Carmen, had a meeting for lunch. A gentleman came in, one of his friends that used to live in Playa and bought, lost his money, went back to Canada, and now he wants to come back to Playa. Well, he told me, he's like, oh, I've been on universal basic income in Canada, $2,000 a month for the last year because of COVID. And he was happy as a clam. And we just started talking about a little bit what I'm talking to you about right now. And he got a little upset, like I was gonna take that $2,000 away from him. I just think he would be more happy if he was in Playa, buying property, renting it out, or some of his passions that he has in music he was telling me about. And if he was doing that, and the happiness and drive he probably would have had to do that than collecting some money. I believe people need help right now. I'm not saying that. Everyone needs help. But if we go what they're doing in Canada, and the talk is modeling what they're doing and have everyone on universal basic income, it will be devastating for this country. And I'm worried about that. It's not just about me. Everything is affected, everything works together. And I'm worried about that. So that conversation was an eye-opener, and that's how I got the idea to talk about this, because I'm like, oh my God, we're talking about real estate. He wants to buy real estate with the $2,000 a month he's collecting. I don't know, I was just like blown away. So that's why I'm talking to you right now about the taxes. So in the end, what happens? Companies go south, they take their jobs, they take their investment, they take the people they hired, unemploy them, and then we pick up the tab. That's the problem. So I see both sides. There has to be balance. The corporate tax rate has to be fair. I think it should go up a little bit. But there needs to be checks and balances on these companies, that they reinvest in their people. Where's this money going? Are they pocketing it? And we need to put checks and balances and sanctions on these countries that take advantage of us and say, well, come here. Our corporate tax is 0%. So, we're going to be taking care of a lot of unemployed people. Does that sound like productive to you? 770,000 people just went on the unemployment rolls in the United States. 770,000. It hasn't curtailed. It's gotten worse. We got people talking about we'll be locked down for another year or trying to do that, and both sides politicizing this madness. So the bottom line is this. Even if you raise taxes on these corporations, do you think Jeff Bezos is really going to pay? No. He's going to pass it off to the consumer. And not all of it. There are some checks and balances there, but it's going to be passed off to the consumer, and you, the consumer, making under $500,000 a year, are going to be taxed. Products are going to go up. Like I said earlier, Google, do you think they pay tax? They route it through Ireland. Now, of course, Congress people let them do that, and there's lobbyists and special interests and kickbacks. I get it. But in the end of this, these corporations aren't really going to pay. They're going to pass the buck to you, the consumer. So most of this is going to be paid for through debt, deficits, and printing money. Bottom line, tax-paying citizens, 141 million of you, including me in the United States, we're gonna be picking up the bill, okay? We're gonna be picking up the bill. So, I leave you with, I'm an optimist. I just wish cooler heads would prevail and both sides of this spectrum will come together and really delve into this bill and think about it. More people need to know about it, because we're just going to be printing ourselves into oblivion, and your children, especially children's children, are going to be paying for it if there's anything left. And we're not all on the streets like District 9. So with that said, back to positive down here. We're having some good meetings, losing some deals, making some new connections, and some interesting stuff down here. We've been down here 12 years. We have a property management company that we partner with, and we also buy and sell real estate. We own real estate down here and been coming down here 12 years to Tulum, Cancun, and Playa del Carmen. So we have a wealth of knowledge, and we have partnerships, and we're setting up new ones since COVID. We lost some before the COVID. So we're just making sure we have everything in place. So if you're looking for a vacation property, we can do some very unique things for me. We have the knowledge. If we don't have it, we know the people that do. And we're also offering fly and buy programs and properties that we own that you will stay in for a week at a luxury property for free. And you come down here, you buy something. And things are really exploding down here. I'm excited to see, there was some time ago, a few years back, there were a lot of changes within the government, some things going on, but now they're on the right path. So I'm really excited what's going down here, and that's why I extended my trip. Thanks so much for your time. Take care.